Vanessa, and that is to take a look at Hezbollah, because quite a lot of, shall we say, misinformation about Hezbollah in the mainstream press in the West.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the mainstream media, as I'll demonstrate, is simply channeling the Israeli line on Hezbollah. And I know Charles has received a question in the past related to Hezbollah, so I just thought, it's a good moment perhaps to give a little bit of an explainer. And of course, if people want to ask more questions, they can join extra. So first of all, let's just play a video message from Netanyahu to the Lebanese people.
I have a message for the people of Lebanon. Israel's war is not with you. It's with Hezbollah. For too long, Hezbollah has been using you as human shields. It placed rockets in your living rooms and missiles in your garage. Those rockets and missiles are aimed directly at our cities, directly at our citizens. To defend our people against Hezbollah strikes, we must take out those weapons. Now, starting this morning, the IDF has warned you to get out of harm's way. I urge you, take this warning seriously. Don't let Hezbollah endanger your lives and the lives of your loved ones. Don't let Hezbollah endanger Lebanon. Please, get out of harm's way now. Once our operation is finished, you can come back safely to your homes.
Well, except, of course, the homes will be destroyed. And, of course, there is no mention of the threat of Israel and its allies to the region. So anyway, let's have a look at the BBC, who a couple of days ago put out this article, What is Hezbollah in Lebanon? And will it go to war with Israel? What is Hezbollah and where does it operate? So, of course, what does the BBC do? It channels the Israeli description of Hezbollah, that it's effectively created by Iran. It's an Iranian proxy, it's dominant Shia, so in other words, it's a sectarian organization. Let's have a look again. I'm taking much of this information from Western think tanks, so I'm not looking at let's say, Hezbollah-aligned or sympathetic media in many cases. This is basically a map showing in a very reductionist way, the influence of Hezbollah in the south, going up towards the east with the border with Syria and Israel, and also, of course, in the capital city of Beirut. Let's have a look at when Hezbollah was founded. They were founded, this is just one of many commentators on X. They were founded, of course, after the Israeli invasion of Lebanon and siege of Beirut in 1982. 10 young men met in a mosque in the random suburbs of Beirut and pledged to resist Israeli invaders until martyrdom. The name's well known, and of course she mentions Fuad Ali Shukr, who was assassinated by Israel back in July. And of course, in 1982, we should all remember the massacre of Sabra and Shatila, which was one of, although it wasn't directly carried out by the Zionists, it was carried out by their proxies in the Phalange Christians militia, one of the worst massacres in the history of massacres by the Zionist entity. If people want to read more about it, I do recommend Robert Fisk, who was actually there during or came just after the massacre. And then I wanted to have a look at this article by Sharmeen Nawani, who's Lebanon-based, reported from Syria from 2012 onwards. So she says, for Lebanon, Hezbollah is more than just the first Arab force to militarily expel the Israeli Defense Forces from its territory permanently. Of course, that was in 2006. In Lebanon, Hezbollah is a political party too, with members of parliament and seats in the cabinet. In 2022, the Hezbollah alliance won 13 seats out of 128 seats. And in fact, it lost a narrow majority that it had had for many years before then. The group runs a remarkable array of social services across the country, from subsidized schools, hospitals and clinics to agricultural centers and environmental programs. And those are basically open to all denominations inside Lebanon. Furthermore, Hezbollah's appeal is not limited, as I said, to Lebanon's Shia community. which of course is what Israel wants you to believe, and the BBC. Since 2006, Hezbollah has been in political alliance with the country's largest Christian-based political party, the Free Patriotic Movement, whose leader, General Michel Aoun, is currently president of Lebanon. Aoun's close association with Hezbollah is an irritant to Washington, and the Trump administration is pushing, so this was written back under Trump's presidency, to tighten the sanctions noose on Lebanon as well as on Syria. In September, the House of Representatives voted to strengthen the 2015 Hezbollah international financing prevention. Now I just want to play, because I want to go on to the idea of Hezbollah being a proscribed organization, both in the UK and in the US. So in the US from 1997 and the UK, I think, from 2001. So this was a closed session, secret recording of John Kerry's conversation with the White Helmets at the UN and other so-called opposition representatives. So let's just have a listen. You have to listen quite carefully because the quality is not good, but I will provide a transcript to what he says specifically about Hezbollah.
The reason for that is that they have both basically declared war on us and are plotting against us, and Hezbollah is not plotting against us. Hezbollah is exclusively focused on Israel, whom they're not attacking now, and on Syria, where they are attacking in support of Assad. So it's
No, I entirely understand your position as representing the American interest, because these Shia groups, they do not attack the United States, of course. But how to make the majority of the Syrian people accept this approach?
I'm sorry, what?
How to make the Syrian people accept this argument that because Hezbollah or Fadl Abbas, the Iraqi and the Iranian groups are not fighting the United States now, so they are not targeted by the attacks against terrorism in Syria. They kill Syrians.
They are targeted by the opposition. We are arming. So, and training.
I do recommend listening to this entire recording, because there what he effectively admits is that Hezbollah is not opposed to the United States. It is effectively created to oppose Israel. And Hezbollah are being targeted by the Syrian opposition, the terrorist forces, who the US is arming and training. Again, you can freeze frame the transcript and read it at your leisure, but let's continue with the idea of Hezbollah carrying out terrorist attacks on the next slide, please, Mike, even.
That one?
No, sorry, no,
yeah.
back
okay.
one.
Okay,
yeah. So you asked me, Mike, yesterday about whether Hezbollah has carried out terrorist attacks against the US or the UK or the EU. Charmaine does actually cover this, and as she actually says, the evidence of this is extremely slim and is peppered with more use of qualifying terms, allegedly, reportedly, assessments, linkages, than any objective journalist can comfortably swallow. So, too, are the US reports of Hezbollah's international terrorist activities. Reporter Gareth Porter has done deep dives on various allegations of Hezbollah-linked terrorism in Argentina, Bulgaria, Washington, DC, India, and Saudi Arabia. So the link to that article with the links to Gareth Porter's work obviously will be in the notes at the end of the news. And again, coming back to this non-sectarian concept, this is in International Business Times. Christian, Sunni and Shia meet Hezbollah's non-denominational military branch defending Lebanon, fighting in Syria. So what do they say about that? The Sunni Muslims are not the only ones to join up with Hezbollah. Christians and non-practicing Shiites who subscribe to Hezbollah's brand of violent resistance can also join the non-denominational brigade. Suraya al-Muqawama is made for non-extremist people, said Sami Ramadan, a Sunni recruiter for the group. So again, very much like the Iraqi resistance factions, they are non-sectarian, they are inclusive of all religious denominations. Now, in Syria, and this is where it becomes very important, not only in Syria, also in Lebanon, Hezbollah was responsible for not only liberating vast swathes of territory from the various terrorist factions backed by Israel and the West, but also, in particular, the Christian communities in Aleppo, in Hama on the border with Idlib, in and around Damascus, and in the Damascus countryside. And I wanted to just play clips from 2 videos demonstrating the strength of feeling and solidarity from those Syrian Christians towards Hezbollah. So the first one is from an area called Bludan, which is in the countryside of Damascus.
كل نقطة دم بتنزل من هالشهداء من شهداء حزب الله حسرة بتحرقنا، لأنه عم يستشهدوا على أرض مش أرضهم، وبس اللي كان بيجمعهم الوفا، يعني إنه هن كانوا أوفياء إلنا، يعني بيحبونا، يعني في شيء بيجبرهم غير المحبة إلنا،
ونحن ما بننكر فضله لبعد الممات، لأنه اللي عملوا حزب الله مع أهل بلودان ومع المنطقة كلها وبسوريا كلها.
And the second clip is also from the Damascus countryside to the north, at a little monastery of St. James the Mutilated in Kara, and this is from 2013.
De ver eso, como primero es Dios a quien agradecemos, así que la impresión que tengo de Hezbollah es verdaderamente como ángeles que están para servir a Dios y a cada uno de las personas de forma gratuita. Yo creo que no tengo otra palabra para expresar en relación a ellos, sino que son como ángeles, mitel malaike.
The negative image I got from Europe in general was completely changed when I had contact with the reality of the Hezbollah who defended us. And so that convinced me not only by their words but especially by their acts, and also the lovely manner they were between us.
And I have to say, from a personal experience in multiple Syrian Christian communities across Syria, I've had contact with the Hezbollah fighters that were defending and protecting those areas from the UK, US cartel and Israeli, of course, backed terrorist factions. And they always conducted themselves with tremendous courtesy towards those communities. Extraordinary people, extraordinary protection of all denominational communities in Syria and in Lebanon.
Thank you, Vanessa. And the key point here is this is clearly a much more nuanced organization than the Western media would like to portray.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for Charles as well. Thanks to everybody that watched today, but we are over time, so we've got to leave it there. We will be back in a few minutes if you're a UK Column member for some extra. Plenty to discuss today. Hope to see you there. Otherwise, enjoy the discussion tomorrow at 1 p.m. And we'll see you on Friday, as usual, at 1 p.m. for another news program. See you then. Bye-bye.